Tosin, an IT professional and cybersecurity expert who will be sharing his experience in the industry. And I guarantee the information is invaluable. Here are some quick housekeeping rules or information for you all. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. And when we get to our Q&A towards the end, we will address them. Or you can, at the end, when we have Q&A, you can raise your hand and I'll unmute you and you can ask your question directly, okay? We do have a quick disclaimer as well. Please note that all the information shared is based on personal experience and decisions made by you all, which are the attendees, are, your own responsibility. And with that being said, Mr. Tosin, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. My name is Tosin Arowojobe. Like she said, I've been in the IT space for over 10 years, right? So I will start with I studied computer science from Olabisi Onabanjo University in Nigeria. And after that, I did, computer science is more of coding, right? And writing algorithms. So when I was in school, one thing I wasn't enjoying writing coding, right? So, but there's something I have in me that I know there's this place for me in IT. Then after the university, I went, I happened to serve in Lagos and I worked with computer warehouse, and that is where it started. So when I was in computer warehouse, I worked as an hardware engineer, more of the Windows servers and but basically Windows. So before then, I decided to do networking certifications, CCNA, and I kind of like it. But when I got to computer warehouse, I figured I saw the way IT is being practiced in Nigeria. So I happen to have two bosses. One is a management guy. He's a science guy, but he became a management. And there's another guy, is a technical person. So they started at the same time, but at the long run, when they get to their peak of their career, the person that was in management moved, skyrocket in terms of his career and became the general manager. While the other guy, the pace he could go was just CIO, Chief Information Chief Information Officer of Computer Warehouse. So that was how I made up my mind that it's better I want to be relevant in my career. I want to be relevant in whatever I do. I just don't want to be a technical person. So, and what did I do? I did a research and I, started doing training on project management. So after doing that for a while, I decided to move to the US to continue my education, and I studied information technology for my master's degree from Concordia University. So when I was in Concordia University, it was the school is in Wisconsin, and the IT department, all the students that was working in the IT department are either Indians or white people. So I was like, what is going on here? Does that mean all the black guys that is coming to this school are not efficient in terms of secure IT? Then I decided I went there and I asked them to give me a job. They didn't give me a job. So what came to my mind was, how could I penetrate into the system? Then I said I will volunteer. So when I decided to volunteer, they said, oh, we can't just take you as a volunteer. We'll be paying something. We'll hire you instead of, volunteering. Then that is how I penetrated into the corporate America. And after my master's degree, I worked with HPE, Hewlett Packard Enterprise, as a business analyst. At the point when I got there, I was tired of what I'm doing because I wasn't enjoying it. So, and that was when information security, emergence of information security, everybody started talking about security, cybersecurity. But one thing I know, when I was doing my master's, my boss, my instructor told us something. He said, it kind of created a fear that because I'm an immigrant, then I I was like, I'm still immigrant, but I was still new in the country. So he said something regarding if there's anything that has to do with crime or fraud, you can be arrested and put to jail. So I was afraid. I don't want to, I don't want to do any career that has to do with arresting or, but I know more better now. If you don't do anything, nobody will arrest you. So, you know, I started, doing program, educating myself regarding cybersecurity, do training with a Ghanaian guy. Um, so, and that's what I want to talk about right now. Everybody talk about cybersecurity, but nobody knows. I mean, some people knows area of cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a voluminous industry. We have the infrastructure aspect, we have the forensic, we have the governance and risk compliance, we have the SOC, Security Operations Center. So it's so large. So there's a space for everybody to excel in cybersecurity. And my goal today is just to elaborate more on this area to let you know what opportunities lies in this environment. And because some people also make kind of mistake regarding, do I have to lay hands on tools? No, you don't have to lay hands on tools. I used to lay hands on tools and I don't like it. I call it mechanic job in IT. I don't want to be running cable. I don't want to be just facing the system, typing code without interacting with people. I'm a people-oriented person. I like working with people, innovation, bringing up so many innovations idea that we can actually penetrate or work on and, find how those things can help humanity. So, so that is kind of my background when it comes to how I eventually jump into cybersecurity. So I've been in the cybersecurity for like 5 years. Information tech, I told you I started as an information hardware guy, then jump into cybersecurity. What I want you to know is that every skills you have acquired over the years are very useful in cybersecurity. Yes. Whether you are a problem solver, you can actually apply that problem-solving skills in cybersecurity. Whether you're a good team player, I'm talking about the soft skills now. Whether you're a good team player, if you're a good team player, even if you don't really know too much, being a good team player, you can actually acquire knowledge from experienced individuals. So if you're a network person, there's a place for you as well. If you are a programmer, there's a place for you. If you're a project management person, cybersecurity, there's always projects going on. So there's a place for project managers, project coordinator, whichever you are in cybersecurity. So that is an introduction regarding cybersecurity. Do you want me to go ahead and just go through all I have to say, or you want to ask a question?
Keep going. They'll ask questions at the end.
Okay, I think I have a slide here. If I'm permitted to share that, let me see if I can, share that on the screen so you guys can, go along with me as let me see. I'm not used to Zoom. I'm a team person.
Give you access, so see if you can
Let me see.
hit share at the bottom.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Good. I've covered this area. So when we talk about cybersecurity is about protecting your systems, protecting your network, protecting your programs. Remember I mentioned about programming is applicable in cybersecurity. If you're a network person, is applicable. There's a lot of opportunities in that regards. So according to this publication, I read it. Most people, according to this publication of University of San Diego, cybersecurity professionals are needed across every sector and industry. But it is clear there's a particular urgent need in financial services, healthcare, government, and manufacturing. So you have opportunity in healthcare. So healthcare is a big deal in America. So when I was doing my research about where should I go into in my career when regarding to IT, one thing I did a training there. That's one of the good thing about if you have the opportunity, attend trainings, attend conferences, attend seminar, it's kind of channel you to the right path. So healthcare is a big deal, like I said. So being a cybersecurity person in healthcare is America don't joke with information, especially personal, we call it PII, personal identifier information. So, and they will do everything, they will invest anything to protect their client or the patient's information. And that is where HIPAA comes in. But I'll get to that point when when I'm doing as I do continue with this presentation. So same thing with the financial services. Every bank will pay a lot of money to protect the information, the credit card informations, all the PII information of their customers. So there's opportunity in financial sector. Same goes with government. American government does not joke with their information, and that's why NIST, was introduced into the cybersecurity space. So there's opportunities for you. If anybody says there's no opportunity, that person's lying. There's big opportunities for you. So I think these are the tones of discipline where you can look into networking, software development, incident response, risk management, forensic. I believe there are some universities that that do have such program running in their curriculum. So this slide is just showing you where you can, if you want to leverage in, maybe go to school again. These are the kind of programs you can actually tap into. So I think I've mentioned this. Where can I work if I study any of this? You can work in the healthcare, you can work in the retail industry, hospitality, automotive, constructions, and government agency. So I mentioned that there's no need to lay hands. You don't have to lay hands. However, if you know some of these tools, it's going to be a added value for you. When I was doing my training, then the guy told me to go and read about Splunk, watch videos. So that's one of the things I do is watch videos on YouTube. So I know, most of us, you watch YouTube for other things, but it's going to be a good thing when you can capitalize or, take advantage of what YouTube has to offer in terms of there are a lot of skills that you can actually acquire by, watching YouTube or, watching some tools that are applicable to whatever you want to do, especially when it comes to cybersecurity. So I watched how Splunk works. Other tools I actually watched was Nessus. So if I meet a cybersecurity person, if I start talking about how Splunk works, you think I've been using this, I've laid my hands on it. However, I've not, because I only watched the video. I saw how you can actually use that particular tools to monitor your environment. And this is the kind of tools that most companies in the US, they use because it's so friendly. So you don't have to lay hands on tools, but it's going to be good if you know how those tools work. Now, because you don't lay hands on tools, these are the opportunities where you can actually, these are the frameworks where you can actually specialize. Like I said, governance risk and compliance has to do with how entity, when I say entity, companies, how they design their environment in terms of objective, in terms of goals. Now, if I'm in a healthcare, okay, if I'm trying to establish a healthcare company, one of my goals is to look at the framework that is applicable to the healthcare. and that is where HIPAA comes in. HIPAA is the healthcare frameworks. HIPAA, the full meaning of HIPAA is Health Insurance and Portability and Accountability Act. It's a law or framework that governs how healthcare companies manages the information of their patients. So it is a framework. We have people that are just an HIPAA compliance analyst or HIPAA consultant, right? PCI is another framework which has to do with payment card industry data security standard. If you have been using debit card, credit card, there's a law, there's a framework that actually govern how your card informations are protected. We call it card holder data. And this is where I actually specialize. I'm a PCI consultant. So when it comes to how your credit is being transmitted from the PIN pad to the network infrastructure, then to the processor, to the acquirer, I ensure they follow PCI frameworks. NIST has to do with National Institute of Standard Technology. So this is what we call it Bible in this industry. It's like cybersecurity Bible. So the government of the US, when they see how data is being handled or how fragile, how people are mismanaging or misusing people's data, sensitive data, PII. So they introduced this framework to make sure every company, especially the government agency, they have to follow the frameworks when it comes to NIST. So NIST have a lot of, for each industry, there's a framework for each industry. There's a control that you have to implement to comply with the framework. For instance, if I want to establish an hotel or go into hospitality business, I have to go to NIST. You can download it. You have to go to NIST and see what recommendations, what control were recommended for us to implement in that environment I'm trying to establish, right? So the GDPR framework is more of the European framework, which has to do with protecting how the European countries, how they protect the data of their citizens. ISO is an international standard framework regarding information security. SOX, the full meaning is Sarbanes-Oxley framework. It has to do with how an entity manages the financial data of their client. SOC 1 and SOC 2 is mostly used in the financial industry. But the banks and the financial companies, these are the frameworks they implement in their environment. The next slide has to do with what area can I work? Sorry, I missed that. If I know any of these above frameworks, you can become a compliance analyst. You can become an auditor. You can work as a security operations center. If you work in a security operations center, there's a possibility of you laying hands on tools because you'll be tracking data. You'll be tracking inbound traffic and outbound traffic. You'll be noting if there's any kind of threat or any kind of compromise. So that is what you'll be doing as a SOC engineer or as a SOC analyst. Vulnerability management. Vulnerability management is kind of big. When it comes to vulnerability, every company's they're making sure their environment, there's no how you can get rid of all of vulnerabilities, but you have to do your best to make sure vulnerabilities are limited. How do you do that? By implementing control, like making sure you have a vulnerability team. You make sure that you do scanning. You make sure you do your scanning, or make sure you have a file integrity system in place. So in case if anything happens, the file integrity can alert the administrator that somebody is trying to do something. So there's opportunity for vulnerability management as well. It's big, but you can, read further regarding this particular one. I like it because there's a lot of opportunities there. Penetration tester. Penetration tester also sometimes, most time they work in vulnerability management because you have to test, you have to conduct pen tests. So we have internal pen tests, we have external pen tests. Internal pen test is when you are, so the way it works, we have in a network architecture, we have an environment that is very sensitive, and we have an environment that is not really too sensitive. We call it in scope and out scope. So what pen test does is the pen test test from the not in scope, the area that is not really too sensitive. They test the sensitive area. They try to communicate with the in scope environment, which is very sensitive. The goal is to make sure that both insensitive and sensitive segments are not communicating. Once they are communicating, there's a possibility of anybody can just ping the sensitive area and retrieve information, sensitive information. So that's why penetration test is very important. That is why I'm just talking about penetration test, internal penetration test. But when it comes to external penetration test, the person tests from outside, from a particular organization. The person will test from his own location and test my environment. He will try to do everything. It will imitate the way the black hackers, the way they do try to hack people's network or organization network. So if they can penetrate into from external, if they can penetrate into my network, that means my network environment is not secure. So there's opportunity there as well. Incident response team. They call it it's like a police team. When an incident happens, they respond. They are like rapid response team. You are always alert in case of any vulnerability or any threat. If any threat happens, they immediately block it. They do research and they test the environment, making sure the environment is not exposed to any incident again. It doesn't have any incident, or any incident is not prone to occur again. Disaster recovery team. Disaster recovery team are the team when there's a terrible disaster that could happen, maybe natural disaster or man-made disaster. Disaster recovery team are the one that responds to that effect or to that event. What they do is make sure, because every companies have, we call it RTO, so recovery time operation. So there's a time, because when they are signing the contract with their client, they told them that if anything happened within 10 minutes or within 1 hour or 3 hours, we will restore the services. So a disaster recovery team must make sure they make sure they work towards that agreement they have with their client, which means they have to make sure if there's any disaster happen, they have to fall back to the backup plans they have in place, whether they have a mobile infrastructure in place, or they have a disaster recovery location where they can actually start operating when a disaster happens. Network security engineer. This is the individuals that manage the firewall, the router, the switches. So you can, if you are kind of person that like laying hands on tools, this is the kind of place you can actually excel. If you can actually work towards acquiring skills when it regarding managing firewalls, switches, and router. Next slide. Sorry, next slide.
Are you able to put it in presentation mode and increase the screen?
Okay, let me do this. Hold on. I think I have it here. Good. Can you see it now? Is it good?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, I'll just be tapping. So people do make this mistake.
I'm still working. I want to go and do my main work that the guy didn't let me do.
So the goal of the compliance analyst is to make sure that their environment is good, meets all the requirements when it comes to HIPAA. That is, they work with the system owner, they work with the system administrators, they work with the all the stakeholders. So they will assess all internally, they will assess all the requirements and make sure the firewall is in place, make sure the firewall is being does not have a default setting. They make sure the firewalls, they are reviewing the firewall every 6 months. They will make sure firewalls, they will review the inbound and outbound traffic. So they will work with the system owners, and when they will work with the engineers as well, the network engineers, to make sure that all of what is called out in the requirement are met. So auditing, auditor is an external person most time. You can have internal auditor, but when an auditor is coming to your environment, it's not coming to become your friend. It's coming to audit. It's going to be strict. It's coming to see if your environment is complying with particular requirements that you are practicing. It's checking if you are not doing what it's supposed to do. At the end of the auditing, there will be a report that will be issued, and what you will say in the report is you are not compliant. So that is the difference between compliance and auditing. So the narrative is just to explain further what compliance is all about. Compliance is a system of checks and balance that ensure every policy is in a company is followed, whether from the legal or corporate point of view. Compliance programs are constantly changing as new regulations are introduced. Now, because I'm in a PCI environment, like I said, we move from a 3.21 version to 4.0. So because there's every time there's always, because all these hackers, black hackers, they are not resting as well. So as a practitioner or as a framework entity, they are always making sure they change all the posture, all the regulations time to time. They will go every year, they review and they see where they need to tighten, so that every company or every entity that is practicing the requirement of the framework are complying with the new regulations. So that is what why compliance needs to be done as soon as possible. You have to be checking your environment yearly. PCI, we do it yearly. We know some there's some framework that is not yearly, right? So audit are more formal. I think I mentioned that, and follow a strict schedule, while compliance review are more flexible. Compliance is just making sure they work with you. If you are not complying, they see what can we do to comply. But as an auditor is not looking for that. It's just, I mean, they're always happy if you are not complying, because it shows that they are doing their work. So that is different about compliance and audit. I think I mentioned this while when I started this presentation. These are the soft skills that if you have it right down, it's still going to be useful as a cybersecurity professionals. Communication, leadership, good team player, problem solver, going above and beyond. The last word is very important. As a, you have to go above and beyond to make sure your clients are happy. How do you do that? By trying to work with them. I remember when I started, I'm always strict. Oh, you are not complying, straight up. They are not complying. But as time goes on, I realized that some of the clients I was, that was auditing, they would tell my boss they don't want me because they were like, it's too strict. So my boss over time told me, your goal is to, because they are paying your salary indirectly. So your goal is to work with them, go above and beyond, even if they are not compliant. If if they are, maybe they don't have a particular framework or requirement, they are not compliant with that particular requirement. As a consultant, what you're supposed to do is to work with them. What can we do to make sure you comply? Okay, go and do this, go and do this. Make sure you have a compensating control in place. And once you have a compensation control in place, I'll review that, and that will help you to pass your assessment. So I started imbibing that, doing that, and it has been working for me so far. So as a consultant, as an auditor, you have to go above and beyond. So that's all about the slide. The floor is open. If you have any question, let me know.
Okie dokie, thank
I'll
you.
stop sharing.
Yeah. Like Mr. Tosin said, if you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask directly, or you can drop your questions in the chat and I can read them out. Either way.
Yes, and by the way, thank you very much for the presentation. Fantastic presentation, makes sense. My name is Sheon Onojipe. I particularly like the one about financial services. The PCI sounds resonates fairly well. So one question I have is that there are banks that have different policies in terms of dealing with transactions that originate from foreign countries. Say, for example, you may be able to go to Mexico and you're able to check your account, but you may not be able to go to Romania and access your account. Is this a compliance issue, or these are business decisions that banks have already made to be able to do transactions remotely from certain countries and prevent operations originating from other countries?
So PCI is more debit card and credit card. So even though is in financial, it's not, it has to do with finance, right? It has to do with spending. It's mainly based on how credit card is being used and how credit card information, we call it card holder data, how they are protected. So when it comes to transfer of funds from a particular country to another country, PCI doesn't cover that, and that has to do with the financial company. The financial entity that you're using. It has to do with them. It doesn't have to do with it has to do with the way they operate. Let me put it that way. Do I answer your question?
You absolutely did. And by the way, I didn't mean to imply that the PCI has to do with transaction. I'm just making a reference that you talking about financial services and PCI resonates well. But you did answer my question in terms of this. So you're saying that these are decisions that banks make. So the policy and compliance may be something that is set as a regulatory decision, and it could also be something that is established as part of operating model of each bank, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, and that's why, governance, risks, and compliance covers that a particular area. Governance is about making rules, making policy that has to do with our objective, right? So every financial entity, they actually incorporate what we call governance, risks, and compliance in the environment. They have rules. For instance, there's a limit of amount you can transfer from one place, from your account, right? It has to do with governance, risks. The company, the entity that you are using, or the company that you're using, they actually implemented the rules, which has to do with policy. The rules is more of the policy, right? They actually adopt what we call governance, risks, and compliance. So every company, if you are establishing an entity, a company, you must incorporate what we call governance, risks, and compliance in your environment. And that will kind of guide you what you can do, what you won't do, what is permitted, things like that. And that will that will make everybody to stay within the boundaries. It will allow any members of your entity to go beyond what you specify. So when it comes to rules and policy, every company incorporates governance, risks, and compliance.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. That's really good. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have someone's hands raised, Mr. Chika. Are you able to unmute yourself?
Yeah. All right. Hi, Tosin. Thank you so much for this wonderful presentation.
You're welcome, sir.
Yeah. So talking about cybersecurity and the areas of cybersecurity, where you mentioned about the infrastructure, forensic, risk and compliances, and etc. So personally, for me, I think I'm interested in cybersecurity, and currently my profession is product management. And
Okay.
I've also had a little experience working in the telecom VAS sector, where I've set up a couple of VAS products in the past. So what area of cybersecurity, what area of cybersecurity do you think that we kind of like suit someone who is coming from a product side or product perspective?
So when the way I always answer that question is, what do you want to do? What do you see yourself do? What do you like to do? I will start with, I started, project management was what I was looking into when I first started as a IT professional, right? So because in the IT space, there's always a project going on. There's always a project, right? So I figured out that I will excel in that environment. Now I'm a cybersecurity. I'm a PCI consultant. I am implementing project management skills I acquired while I was studying for my project management. I'm implementing all the skills I acquired during my when I was doing my project management. I'm implementing all of this right now as we speak in what I'm doing right now. So which area can you go into? I think the compliance part is where you go into. It's kind of a good territory where you can actually venture into. So remember I said there are different compliance. There's a NIST, there's PCI, there's there's EPA, there's another one I missed. There's HITRUST, and this HITRUST is the one that has to do with international healthcare. Internationally, HIPAA is limited to the US environment, while e-trust is more of the how people's information, health informations are being protected. So now my question is, which industry would you love to work? Then I can actually I recommend that this is the framework you need to work on.
So basically, I've had experiences working in the fintech industry. I currently am working in the health tech or healthcare industry. And I think the healthcare industry is somewhere, I mean, I have interest in currently.
So HIPAA should be good for you. HIPAA.
Okay.
HIPAA framework is what you need to. I'm not more of HIPAA. I'm not HIPAA compliance individual. But HIPAA seems to be, from what you just said now, HIPAA compliance or consultant seems to be the right channel for you to, I mean, or path for you to
start.
Try. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for giving me clarity on that.
Awesome. We have a question from Esther. She asks, what is a way to enter into IT audit without relevant experience?
So one of the things I did when I'm trying to when I'm in my transition stage was I did a training. Remember I said that I did a training with a Ghanaian guy. So even though, and this guy trained me on NIST, but I'm not using NIST right now, right? I'm in PCI. So one thing I would do is self-study or find somebody that is you know, maybe he's an IT auditor. Being an IT auditor, there's a particular framework the person might be doing. So understudy the person or ask the person to, if you can't person, all you need to know is what does the person do daily in terms of what do you do daily in your engagement, what framework are you auditing? Understand this person and read, do research. And also, if you can, people used to say, you know, certification is not important. Certification is important. I mean, I would say that's a lie. Try to get certified. Maybe start with security plus. Start with that, because if I'm bringing you to an environment, I want to know. I'm not just going to be throwing my money to you. I want to, what are you bringing to the table? It might not be too much, but you know, a little. If you have little that they can work with, that actually will give you a leverage to the industry. So I'll repeat it again: do research, do training. Most companies don't want to train anybody from the beginning again, sincerely, because they don't want to waste their time. So try to acquire trainings and, you know, study, watch videos. You can actually watch videos and equip yourself with those lessons learned from the video, right? So that is the way to go. I mean, to leveraging, because I can't hire somebody that I'll just be paying without giving me something as a business, from a business perspective. Do I answer your question? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Did we have any other questions? Please feel free to unmute yourself or drop questions in the chat. We still have until 8:30.
Yes, I got a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Joseph, and I have an electrical background, and the question that I have is there's a lot of boot camp, cybersecurity boot camp out there, and there are some also schools that's providing like training in cybersecurity. So, what advice are you giving us? Are we should go boot camp route or go to the school route?
So I think I forgot to do this. After I started, in the security space, I went back to school. I went back to do masters in cybersecurity and information assurance, just to stamp my foot in the industry. Boot camp. I know of a friend that did boot camp and it paid 20,000. That's too much. If the boot camp is not expensive, good to go, right? I wouldn't say you should go to school. Go to, most schools are just, I'm being sincere. Some schools, they're just there to collect people's money. And the school I went back to do is an online WGU. We practicalize things virtually. You lay hands on tools virtually. So, and it's cheap. So I'm not advertising the school. I'm just telling you there's a way you can acquire these skills without spending too much, right? I would advise you, if the boot camp is maybe 3K, you can do that. But when it's too much, I would advise you to go that route, because if you are, I don't want you to spend a lot of money when you're still looking for a job, right? But if it is something that you can afford, yeah, go for it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I think we have a question of clarity about WGU. That Western
I'm not
Governors?
advertising for that.
It doesn't mean Western Governors. Can you clarify?
Yeah,
WGU?
Western Governors, yeah.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay, I take your silence as you all have gotten all the clarity you need. Thank you so much, Mr. Tosin. This was great. We really enjoyed you.
You're welcome.
Before we close, I want to share a few announcements. This Saturday at noon, we have our makeup orientation for expert facilitators who missed our initial onboarding process. Anyone who plans to become an expert and present as Mr. Tosin did, you must go through orientation before you start mentoring. So please join us this Saturday if you're interested in becoming an expert facilitator. Also, August 31st, we have our monthly mixer. The location and the time is to be announced soon. And lastly, if you haven't already, I invite each of you to join our community platform called Circle. I will put the link in the chat box. You can click on there and sign up to be a part of our community platform, where you'll receive announcements, updates about our events, continuing conversations regarding career development, education, and so forth. So please make sure you join so you are up to date, okay? Thank you all for participating and engaging in tonight's expert series. I hope you all have a beautiful night.
Have a good night. Bye.
Make sure you invite other people to come too.
If anybody needs any more information, you reach out to Ngozi. I will get back to you guys. Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Tosin.